What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to What's on My Deck. This is October. If you can see around me right now in northern Minnesota, the leaves are all orange and red. Everything's changing. The overnight temps are getting down there. The water temp is definitely going down, and smallmouth are biting. I don't care where you are in the country right now. Smallies are getting big. They're getting fat. If you've got smallies around you, you need to be fishing for them because this is my favorite time of year. Getting ready to head out of town for some tournaments. Just got done doing a whole bunch of guide trips. Leaving a little early. Of course, I'd like to stay here. Mille Lacs is at its prime right now. Big fish are biting, and they're going to be here for a few weeks. But I got to get on the road. But at the same time, I wanted to leave it in everybody so you guys know exactly what it is we're using out there. So I just grabbed my guide rods, what I've been using while I'm out on the water. A little bit change up the pace, but all smallmouth bass and things you can be throwing right now through the end of the year. So first and foremost, we're throwing that tube. This is the smaller tube from Get Bit Baits. That's also their tube jig head. I'm using a 1/4 ounce, sometimes 3/8, just depends on how deep. Right now you got fish super shallow, you got fish real deep. So you know, whether I'm dropping on them or throwing out there on a school in 20, or I'm up in, like, you know, even 4, 5, 6 feet throwing a lighter tube like this one. My setup right here, this is a Shimano Zodias rod. This is the 7.3 medium heavy. This is a good rod. We use this for a Ned rigging. We use it for tubing, a lot of stuff like that, jig worm. I got a Shimano Stradic. This is the 2500 HG. I'm running 10-pound Power Pro SSV2, 12-pound Seaguar Invizx fluorocarbon leader. That's important because this tube, I'm really working it through the rocks and a lot of zebra mussels out there. So you got to have yourself, anytime you're fishing smallmouth bass, definitely got to have yourself a tube. Next up, the roller jig, the football jig. One of my favorite things to throw this time of year. There's a lot of them, but this is definitely one of them. This is the brand new Outkast tackle. It's a prototype football jig. I keep talking about it because I'm catching a lot of fish on it. For the bottom part here, for the jig, this is a 10,000 fish saw craw. This thing moves a ton of action. I like the color for here. It's kind of greenish top, got some red flake and orange. Really good to match those crawdads. I'm throwing this thing on a G Loomis IMX Pro. This is the 904C MBR rod. Big fan of the MBR series of rods. I like the action on them. This one in particular, I actually just got it not too long ago. And we also maybe throwing some hard heads, but definitely the football jig. Again, this is the 904, and that's a 7.6, kind of a 4-power, like a heavy action rod. I'm throwing it on a Shimano Corrado 200 HG. I'm actually swimming my jig on the bottom a little bit more than I'm actually dragging it. So that's why I don't go with the XG, because I don't want it to go too fast. So this is just a 7-speed, and then I'm throwing straight 17-pound Seaguar Invizx fluorocarbon. But right now, the big fish, what they eat on the regular is crawdads, so feed them a big one because they're definitely feeding up. Next up, gotta have the Ned rig. And right now I'm throwing a 3/16 ounce. Throwing it in black because honestly all the green pumpkins are like sold out everywhere. I can't even get them. So my Ned head, but Outkast tackle selling them, so that's a good thing. So just using the black one, it completely I don't think matters at all. And I'm throwing a little Sukoshi bug. Throwing the purple one because I'm kind of in the Viking spirit right now. With and I remember Brian Robinson kind of kicking my butt for a couple hours earlier in the spring on this purple one. Something about Mille Lacs and purple, they like it. But this 10,000 fish, this is the Sukoshi bug on that Outkast tackle, perfect Ned head. I'm throwing a Shimano Zodias. This is a cool little rod. This is a 7.3 medium light plus. It's actually got a lot of action, a lot of backbone to it. Fast tip, a really good Ned rigging rod. Throwing again a Shimano Stradic, and this is the 3000 the XG, so a little bit bigger spool. Definitely like the 3000. You know, me personally like the 4000, but a lot of my guide clients and stuff like the 3000. And again, this is what I'm throwing half the time anyway. Great setup. On this one, 10-pound Seaguar Invizx fluorocarbon leader and a 10-pound Power Pro SSV2 braided line. Main line. Next up, go back to the bait casters. The jerkbait. I can't say I'm catching a ton of them, not like I do in the spring, but at the same time, you know, there's certain parts of the lake that got fish are a little bit shallower. There's some grass up there. You'll definitely catch some walleyes on it too. But still, you can't go wrong with the jerkbait and smallmouth any time of year. And right now, like I said, they're using the deep water, they're using the shallow water, and they're definitely using those transitions that go fast up and down. So a jerkbait's kind of a really good one. Breaks off that edge. I'm actually trying to fish this one a little bit deeper. This is the Megabass +1 Vision 110. Took off some of the hooks, put on some owners on that, make it extra sticky sharp. But I'm using 10-pound Seaguar Invizx fluorocarbon. A little light than what I'd like to use, but out here in that open open water. It just helps me get it a little bit deeper, and I think gives the Vision 110 a little bit better action. Still, I'm using the same reel. I keep saying I'm going to take off and retire, but it's a good one. The Core 50 MG7. I actually got a replacement. I'm pretty excited. I got the Mentanium DC fast speed that's going to replace this reel here, but at the same time, this one I've kept it on all year, and it's been working really well. I'm using a Shimano Expride. This is the 610 medium. Love this rod. I'm trying to get more of them. They're really hard to get, actually, so I believe some shipments are coming in here pretty soon. I'm definitely going to load up on that jerkbait rod. Back to the spinning poles. We got the Spybait. This is the Duo Realis. I think this one's a 90 on there that I had last. You know, I'm fishing mostly deep water right now. I'm throwing a G Loomis IMX Pro. This is the 901 SJR rod. Real good rod for the Spybait, real good rod for throwing marabou hair jig. I got a Noski on this, a little 2500 or 3000. No, 2500 Noski. I'm running regular Power Pro, 8-pound regular Power Pro in green, because I don't have as long of a leader as I generally run. On here I got an 8-pound Seaguar Invizx fluorocarbon leader, but again, I'm bringing this bait past the school, so I definitely don't want that chartreuse line. I do think that's kind of important, but that's my setup. Awesome Spybait rod. In the springtime, the Spybait would probably be gone and the hair jig would be on it. Last spinning rod, you got to have a Dropshot. Can't say I'm using it a ton, maybe on some specific stuff. Seem to be a walleye magnet out there, but you definitely still catch a big one, especially when you're targeting specific stuff. This time of year, I really don't target much specific stuff. I think the fish are getting in big schools. They're migrating big time. They're getting ready for winter. They're loading into areas, and it's much easier to catch them in schools and much easier to catch bigger ones, in my opinion, especially as the water starts to clear. For this, I'm using a Stradic. This is the 2500 Stradic HG, the Shimano Zodias, and this is the 270 medium light. Awesome drop shot and rod. 8-pound Seaguar Invizx fluorocarbon. 10-pound Power Pro SSV2 is my main line, and right now I switched through the baits. I honestly, I have like a kind of smorgasbord of them in there that I've been just putting on the occasion that I am dropping the drop shot, and right now I'm using that little Strike King, I don't even know what it's called off the top of my head, and then I got a Woo tungsten weight. This is a 3/8 ounce Woo tungsten and a little Owner mosquito hook on there. Sweet little drop shot rod. Again, I generally rather throw the tube, a football jig, power fish, but the drop shot gets me in there. But talk about power fishing, let's get to the big dog, the Alabama rig. We can only throw one hook in Minnesota. Not a giant fan of the Alabama rig. I mean, I do like to throw it, I like to catch fish, but there is a small window on Mille Lacs when the water gets cold that the fish will eat it. Again, I'm a true, you can only throw one, so this is the Hog Farmer Minnesota rig, and I throw in a 1/2 ounce Outkast tackle Goldeneye with a 4-inch Biospawn Exo Swim. You can see it's all blades, and at the same time down here I just got the one kill bait that prevents them from hitting other dummies, stuff like that. And at the same time, I can throw this thing in like 10 feet. I can throw it out there in 20 feet. Awesome setup. I'm using straight 20-pound Seaguar Invizx fluorocarbon. I got a 200 HG Shimano Corrado K. Corrado K, I can beat the crap out of these reels. It's the best bang for your buck reel on the market. Absolutely love it. And I'm throwing the big Zodias. This is the 7.5 extra heavy, the 175 extra heavy, and I find it to be an excellent A-rig rod. So again, small little window that I throw this. There is no better one that I've ever found as far as Alabama rig than Hog Farmer. The components are good. I get some big bites on it, and it's definitely a good way to get that big bite right away in the morning out on Lake Mille Lacs or any smallie factory. And last but not least, the bait that I have definitely caught more 5-pounders on this fall than any of them at all, and that's just a simple Outkast tackle Goldeneye. This is the 3/8 model with the 4/0 hook, and I'm throwing the Biospawn Exo Swim 4-inch in this color's Fighter Shad. G Loomis IMX Pro 852C jig worm rod. I have fallen in love with this rod for the swimmer. I'm constantly looking for something. I know I change my stuff up on you guys a lot, but that's only because I'm always trying to find something better. New doesn't always mean better, but sometimes it does. So when stuff hits the market, I definitely like to try it. I use the 852C jigworm rod, the GLX version a lot. I actually dig the IMX Pro better. I think the parabolic, it's got a little bit more of a parabolic action, but what I really like is it's extremely sensitive rod, but it's not a GLX blank. And the GLX blank, sometimes I feel that fish bite before I actually I pull the bait away. I feel the bite too soon. This way it's kind of a little bit dense, a little bit feel, and I pull that fish, all of a sudden that fish bites, and I load into it. I get that fish back into the boat. Straight 12-pound Seaguar Invizx fluorocarbon, and I'm throwing a Shimano Cronart. This is the 150G. It's got the MGL spool, so with this 12-pound test, I can literally cast this thing further than anything else on my boat. I can almost pull this reel and swim this thing back. So again, that's my setup. That's all I got. Check out Shields. You know, Shields Outdoors. Check out Shields stores. They carry a lot of this stuff right here. I'll try to put tags below. Of course, I'm going to keep this stuff coming, but this will be the last smallmouth one now, because by the time I get home, it's going to be hunting season and the lakes are going to be all kind of froze up, and we're going to have to, you know, maybe take a break for hunting season, get right back at it in December and January when we're back down south. But again, this is October. What's on my deck? Please subscribe. Please share this stuff. I'll keep it coming. I know it's pretty popular with a lot of you tackle geeks out there, and get people that are just looking for more good, solid information, what they should be throwing. Tight lines.